Secretive and solitary, they haunt the wild places of the world, and their ways are barely understood. The most lithe and graceful of the mammals, they stand at the peak of predator evolution. As killers, they have no peer. Their power and stealth are the stuff of legend. The jaguar, the ocelot, the puma, the bobcat, the lynx. They are the cats of the American wilds, hunters of a hidden world. Nearly 40% of South America is watered by the Amazon River. The lands embraced by the river host an unparalleled wealth of living things. Though the climate is kind to life, competition is high for nature's resources. And for both the hunter and the hunted, survival demands vigilance and ingenuity. There is no more proficient hunter in this world than the ocelot, a cat whose keen ears help to target its prey. Surprise is on the side of the ocelot. Though rarely seen by humans, the ocelot ranges across a vast region, all the way from Texas to Argentina. And wherever it hunts, it specializes in killing small mammals and birds. With its dappled coat, the cat melds perfectly into a world of sun and shadow. Undetected, the ocelot poses a lethal threat to the forest's smaller creatures. A true American native, this kitten-like cat has been hunting the dense leafy forests of the New World for more than 1 million years. An agile climber, the ocelot may dine in the treetops, but it prefers to hunt on the ground, where heavy cover helps it disappear. In a behavior familiar to anyone with a pet cat, the ocelot plays with its prey after it's dead, perhaps to prolong the thrill of the hunt. But the Amazon is home to bigger felines as well, including one of the world's great roaring cats. To enter the domain of this mighty predator, we must journey to the very heart of the Amazon basin, to the place where the worlds of land and water merge into one, the realm of the great flooded forest. Virtually impenetrable, this is a place where only those well adapted to the wet are likely to survive. Here, where there is no dry season, up to 4 feet of rain may fall in a single year, and all of nature must find ways to cope with the torrent which floods from the skies. Through the tears of the forest, the rainwater cascades, washing nutrients down to swollen streams that lap at the trunks of the trees. This hardly seems appropriate country for a cat. But the great flooded forest is the kingdom of the jaguar, and everywhere its spirit stalks the quiet pools, the secluded waterways. Along the shaded streams, choked with vegetation, the phantom hunts its prey, waiting to ambush the unwary. An ancient relative of the rhino, the tapir is drawn to the water to find relief from the heat and to feed. Like the collared peccary, it counts among the jaguar's favored prey. Silently, the big cat prowls the river's edge, and all that marks its passing is a whisper in the leaves. Weighing up to 300 pounds, the jaguar is considered the most powerful of the New World cats, and it commands respect wherever it goes. The watchdog of the forest, the howler monkey is first to sound the alarm. An opportunist, the jaguar will eat anything it can catch. But like all predators, it must budget its energy, opting for prey that can be killed with a minimum of effort. On its forays, the cat rarely wanders far from the edge of the water. It is here that its special talents are put to their best advantage. With its massive chest and its mighty jaws, the jaguar is equipped to bring down prey of almost any size. But for the bulk of its diet, it depends on the river and the creatures that make it their home. The manatee, a distant kin of the elephant, spends its entire life in the water, where it grazes on aquatic vegetation. This hefty mammal, which can weigh half a ton, would feed a jaguar for a week. But a wary manatee is tough to catch. The turtles that frequent the river are another matter. Their shells are no match for the jaguar's jaws. But when a turtle cannot be caught, the great cat is content to fish. More than any other feline, the jaguar is at home in the water, and among the cats, its fishing skills are unsurpassed. Though visibility is almost nil in the muddy stream, the cat sees with the sensitive pads on its feet, relying on its uncanny sense of touch to help it find the fish. The technique appears haphazard, but there is a method at work. For once a fish has been herded into the shallows, it can be seized in the jaguar's jaws. A well-fed jaguar is no longer a threat, and the daily routine resumes along the river. The jaguar once pursued its way of life as far north as the Grand Canyon. Today, it survives only here in the Amazon basin and in a few other wild, lonely places. Here, the phantom of the forest still prowls the land, lending an air of majesty and mystery to the great green world that it haunts. Only a few thousand miles north of the Amazon basin lies a dramatically different world. Parched for most of the year, the deserts of the American Southwest depend even more than the forests of the Amazon upon the gift of water. Rainfall here averages less than a tenth of that in the Amazon. Yet the land supports a surprising diversity of life, including one of the most elusive and alluring predators on Earth, the cat that is called the puma. From the Yukon to the Straits of Magellan, the puma boasts the most extensive range of any mammal in the Western Hemisphere, stalking its prey all the way from the Andes to the Rockies and into the desert Southwest. The gray ghost of the West, the puma blends beautifully into the remote rocky wastes where it does most of its hunting. Here, small mammals augment its diet. The largest of all the purring cats, the puma is a solitary stalker, adept at the art of ambush. In a high rocky den, hidden from human eyes, the puma rests through the heat of the day, accompanied by her adult-sized cubs, more than a year in age, but still eager to play. The cubs will remain with their mother for a few months more before going their own ways in the world. Puma cubs, like all big predators, have a long period of dependency upon their mothers. They need this time to acquire all the complex skills necessary to survive on their own. For the puma, as for the desert bighorns which share its habitat, survival depends on more than food. Especially during the dry summer months, they need free access to the desert's dwindling reserves of fresh water. In summer, the puma may have to drink every single day to survive. In the toughest of times, water is critically hard to find, and in some rare years, there is virtually no rain at all. When the rains do return, pools that may have been dry for years are refilled within moments. And then the clouds move on, leaving in their wake scattered oases of life. In some of these pools, eggs which have lain dormant since the last rainfall instantly revive, spawning a bumper crop of the tiny crustaceans known as tadpole shrimp. In the span of a single week, they must lay their eggs and die before the pool again goes dry. But some ponds endure long after the storms have passed, and these are thronged with life. A family of striped skunks exploits nature's sudden generosity. The lure for them? A swarm of tadpoles. Freshly hatched, the tadpoles are a legacy of the summer rains. With prey in plentiful supply, the desert predators enjoy the opportunity to slake their thirst and gorge their appetites. Using its sensitive fingers much as a jaguar does, a raccoon fishes for frogs. Like many desert dwellers, the raccoon must eat and drink when it can. In this climate, neither food nor water can be taken for granted by any living thing. A roadrunner drinks at one of the dwindling water holes, while a covey of Gambel's quails pauses to restock their reserves. Warily, a desert coyote takes its share of the gift of life, ever watchful for danger or opportunity. The peccary finds moisture and food in the fruit of the saguaro cactus, while the bobcat stalks the rocks which ring the oases, searching for game. This cunning feline is the bane of small mammals, birds, and lizards from Canada to Mexico. At home in a wide range of habitats, the cat shares the desert domain with the puma. After more than a year at their mother's side, the puma's cubs begin to explore the world beyond the den, methodically surveying the territory which may one day be their own. After leaving their mother, the siblings may remain together for a few months, and during this first year alone, they may wander for 60 miles or more in search of a territory they can claim. It will require up to 80 square miles of land to support each of the cubs, and as adults, they'll go to great lengths to avoid trespassing upon the hunting grounds of another. The sea of sand that laps at the feet of the desert mountains is a part of the puma's world. Though sun-baked and treeless and a poor place to look for prey, the dunes provide a testing ground for the growing puma cubs, a place to stretch young limbs and practice the skills of the hunt. Their long hind limbs permit the cats to leap nearly 30 feet in a single bound, a vital asset for a predator that relies upon surprise, plus the deadly effect of a lightning-swift charge. The western diamondback rattler is a dangerous choice of prey. It would take great skill for a puma to kill it without receiving, for its pains, a deadly dose of venom. Knowing what to eat and what to avoid is a piece of wisdom a young puma must acquire if it is to survive on its own. Among big predators like the puma, attaining this knowledge requires months of experimentation and training. The making of a skillful hunter, wise in the ways of the land, is a result of a lifetime of close calls and confrontations. With vigilance and with luck, the puma's cubs may eventually reach 20 years of age. And over the years, they will gain great expertise in reading the subtle clues of their world, information that will help ensure their survival. Like the puma, the American badger is a predator, with a reputation as a ferocious defender of its domain. An adult puma would know better than to bother a badger at its den. But these are the lessons learned in the classroom of the wilds. Sometimes, however, even the toughest hunter may be forced to give way to another. The deadly rattler lays its claim to the den. While some cats insist on killing their prey, the puma is not above scavenging, a trait which may have contributed to its success. If live prey becomes scarce, carrion might still be found. Unlike the jaguar, which seeks out soggy places, the puma avoids water if it can. To perform at its best, the cat requires dry ground and ample cover. Though as yet unskilled as hunters, the cubs are assured of a meal so long as they remain with their mother. Within a few short months, the cubs will be driven away to earn a place for themselves in the world. But for the moment, at least, they are still welcome home for dinner. Though it once ranged from coast to coast, the puma today has retreated to some of the most remote and inaccessible reaches of the North American continent. The lofty ramparts of the Rocky Mountains are a formidable barrier to the march of civilization, and they guard a world that seems inhospitable to life. The wind-blown western slope of the Rockies hosts some of the lowest temperatures on the planet, plus a winter that can last for 9 long months. The high mountain passes may accumulate up to 70 feet of snow in a year. And beginning in early autumn, blizzards may bring bitter weather to the valleys. The frigid conditions compound the stress which wild creatures here endure, adding to the ordeals of survival. By the mountain streams, grazers, like the moose and elk, may find at least a temporary refuge from the season's full onslaught. But the first good cold snap puts the pinch on all who dwell here, even those who do their hunting underwater. For a time, the otter and the beaver rely on streams that stay unfrozen. But as the days grow colder, those who feed in lakes and streams face a world of shrinking opportunities. It is a time that tests the survival skills of predators and prey. The bobcat hunts throughout the winter, padding the frozen riverbanks in the hope of surprising a swan, a goose, or a goldeneye. Well insulated by its winter coat, the bobcat can withstand the cruelest weather, as long as it finds food. The snowshoe hare depends on artful camouflage to elude the sharp-eyed hunter. But when the eyes deceive, both prey and predator rely upon their ears for information crucial to survival. Like most predators, the bobcat is no stranger to failure. Only 1 out of 6 chases will end in a kill. The great horned owl is competition, another silent scourge of hares and rabbits. And winter cannot guarantee enough for all. The American badger does not hibernate, relying on its digging skills to root out rodents dozing in their dens deep beneath the snow. Almost any prey is fair game for the Canadian lynx. A bigger relative of the bobcat, it is distinguished by its long ear tufts, its thick frosted coat, and its snowshoe feet. An advantage when hunting in heavy snow. Beautifully camouflaged and seldom seen, the lynx is a master of stealth. But it shares its domain with an even more formidable hunter. Renowned for its ability to adapt to extremes of climate, the puma is at home even high in the snowbound Rockies. When deep snow forces deer and elk to desert the highlands for the valleys, the puma follows, hungry for a kill. Years of hunting in this terrain have taught the cat precisely where to look to find its prey. After a successful hunt, the puma may cache its kill in a secluded place, returning from time to feed. The cat then covers the carcass with grass or snow to hide it from other hunters. It is at twilight that the puma prefers to hunt. In the dim light, at the end of day, the puma's prey is at a disadvantage. But if it hopes to succeed, the cat must keep surprise on its side. The strategy of the hunter is to creep within 20 feet, and then, in an instant, make its move. Unlike the fleet-footed deer, the puma is unable to sustain the exertion of a long chase. It must wait to hunt again. Or, if it can, it must steal food from another. The puma and the black bear are rivals who compete for carrion and prey. But in the coldest months, when food is in desperately short supply, even mortal enemies may put aside their differences and share their dinner. For hundreds of thousands of years, the puma has stalked the frozen world of the high Rocky Mountains, and its presence is still felt in the land. A cat for all seasons, the puma is a survivor, a deadly effective predator, unrivaled in its stealth and its power. The rugged coastline of the Pacific Northwest marks the margin between two worlds. For here, the towering rainforests of the coastal ranges meet the cold waters of the sea. Though far from the Rockies and the sun-scorched deserts, this too is home to the puma. The zone where the land joins the sea is a scene of constant conflict and change, a battleground between two great natural realms. Yet from this ferment has come a world of unsurpassed splendors. Bathed in moisture from the sea, the coastal mountains host a veritable feast of creation. Near the peaks of the coastal ranges, summer is a brief interlude, and the hoary marmot must feed in a frenzy to store fat for the coming winter. The mountain goat, which despite its name is actually an antelope, grazes on the mosses which grow between patches of snow. Snowmelt from these highlands contributes to the incredible natural wealth of the world below. Rainfall here may total more than 300 inches in a year, making this one of the wettest places on Earth. and the luxuriance of its moss-laden forests suggests the steamy splendors of the Amazon. Little sunlight penetrates through the maze of vegetation to the forest floor, and, as in the Amazon, life must cope with a nearly daily diet of rain. The ever-versatile bobcat finds the conditions to its liking. On padded feet, it stalks a wonderland of rotting logs and ancient moss-draped trees, a world that hides a wealth of prey. The mule deer has no cause to fear the bobcat. It's the presence of a bigger cat which makes it wary. The eyes of the forest are always alert to danger, and even the stately Olympic elk must always observe and listen, ever aware that a ghostly feline hunter may be watching. Other predators pursue their quarry in daylight, prowling the margins of the streams where competition for resources is keen. The raccoon is a threat to the river otters, who depend on the fish in the stream. But a larger threat is less easily driven away. In the mountain west, the black bear shares much of the puma's range. But while it normally feeds on vegetation and fruit, when it can, it feasts on fish. In summer, the bears gorge on the salmon which swim up these streams to spawn. But when the salmon are gone, they will consume whatever they can find. The treetops are a refuge for the raccoon and a place to hunt. But up here, there is feline competition. Artfully camouflaged in this habitat, the bobcat cleans its teeth by gnawing on a branch of a pine, while it watches for prey, cautious to avoid crossing paths with the one predator here that can cause it peril. Now that it's summer, the puma has maternal chores to attend to. Born in a sheltered den in the forest, the cubs will nurse for 3 months before reverting to a diet of game killed by their mother. During this time, the puma will leave the den only briefly to hunt. Vigilance is vital now, when the cubs are at their most vulnerable. The spots that they wear at this stage help to disguise them, but their primary protection is their mother. Jaws that can break the neck of an elk gently lift the youngster and bear it to safety. By the age of 6 weeks, the cubs have begun to explore under watchful eyes. The forest is a dangerous place for the inexperienced, a place filled with promise and with hazards. There is much to learn, but as the cub's mother knows, it is through play and exploration that they will acquire the skills they will need as adults. But survival school for the cubs involves more than play. Under their mother's guidance, the young pumas must learn to feed on raw meat. In a clearing in the forest, the puma has stashed a deer she has killed. She opens the carcass and pulls it apart to encourage the cubs to feed. The making of a skillful hunter begins in these early weeks of life and entails months of learning by experiment and example. But for the cubs, any venture into the open is an invitation to peril. If it could, the black bear would kill the puma's cubs. But instead, it's interested in carrion. An encounter with a competitor is an important part of the training of a future predator, an education which the puma cubs will take with them into their second summer. Nearly fully grown and no longer garbed in their spotted coats, the cubs have at last left their mother. Now, for a brief time, they'll travel together, exploring the limits of their world. Inevitably, the cats cross paths with an ancient adversary. It's a young bear, no older than the puma cubs, but it has trespassed in the cat's domain. While success in a single skirmish does not make a master hunter, the puma's cubs have proven themselves in one of nature's difficult trials. A new generation has come into its own in the brutal yet bountiful world of America's great wild cats.